Alrighty, good afternoon. It's August the 1st. We're really excited. It's Friday at noon, and we are going to be going over the second week of the Habits of Health. So if you take out your study guide, you'll notice that on week 2, we're supposed to cover chapters 3 and 5. And like we've discussed in the past, what we're going to do is we're going to mimic a coach call. So you are all coaches, though we all know that when we're a coach, we're also a client. And most of us have not had the typical coaching calls for various reasons. So we're going to go ahead and do a coach call as if I was on the phone with all of you. So for example, if I had Joy in my calendar at noon on Friday, I'd call up and say, "Hey, Joy, how are you doing? Have you had a great week?"
Fabulous week.
Excellent. What was the best part of your week, Joy?
Oh gosh. Well, finding out that my client last night has reached her goal weight in less than 2 months and lost 20 pounds.
That's so awesome.
Decreased her BMI from 22 to 19, and she is 56 years old.
Wow. That's incredible.
That was awesome.
That's very cool. Very cool. And Terry, what was the best part about your week?
Well, my daughter happened to get married on Saturday the 26th, and it was an awesome wedding.
That's so awesome. Congratulations. I know that's big deal. So went through a lot. Oh, there's Michaela's dog. There she welcome back, Michaela. And the dog.
He got into the trash can and ate a bunch of chicken bones, so that didn't end well for him.
Excellent. So I'm glad that you had a great week, and what we're covering this week is we're talking about structural tension. In week 2 of the self-study guide, where the chapters 3 and 5 cover structural tension, and the workbook lessons 4 and 5 talk about your current reality, where you are now, and really trying to come up with where you really want to be. And so when we're going through the material, do you feel like you have a really good idea of how to set a goal? Sometimes there's a block with really creating what we want, but it all starts with setting a goal. So Sandy, do you feel like you've been able to set some pretty clear goals for what you want to create with your business?
Yes.
Which Sandy are you talking
that's right. I'll say Sandy and Sandra. Okay, so Sandy.
Right, who's who?
You're Sandy.
You're Sandy, Mom.
Oh, okay.
Mom, Sandy.
All right.
So, Sandy, do you feel like as you're reading the material, did it solidify how to create and set goals?
Yes.
Okay. What stood out for you regarding that?
Actually, I read the wrong chapter.
Real time.
I'm proud of myself for reading, but I read the wrong chapter.
That's okay.
So I can't really answer that question fairly.
All right. Well, we all know what structural tension is. Michaela, you're pretty new. Have you had an opportunity to really kind of grasp what structural tension means? Is that a new concept for you?
When I first heard it, it was a new concept. I've kind of, over the past few weeks, hearing more about it, understood what it really is.
Okay.
So I haven't put together a structural tension chart for myself just yet, but
Okay.
I have a mental one that
Good.
slowly coming together.
Good. So I wish Patricia was on the line, because Patricia is really great at creating she sends a structural tension chart. She's the only one that sent it to me on the 28th, like I asked on our last call. So
Oh shoot, I forgot about that.
no problem. So the soonest that you can get me, the sooner the better, to get me a structural tension chart so that we can be working on what that looks like weekly. I would really like for each of you we have this Friday call, but in order for us to be more intentional about creating what you want and for me to be available to help, I want to be able to have a solid time each week. Hey, Patricia. I want to be able to have a solid time each week that we have scheduled to chat. So you're welcome to reach out, just like on our client calls. The clients can call you anytime. They can reach out over text. They can email. But they should have a block in your calendar of when you connect with them. I cannot stress enough how important that is, because then they know and you know that that's what's going on during during that time. Whether you call and then you leave a voicemail, hey, I hope you've had a great time, a chance to look a great week and a chance to look through your structural tension. I'd love to connect with you about that and help determine where you want to be versus where you currently are. I'd love to chat. And if you don't hear back from them, you move on, you call the next week. So with structural tension, we want to understand where we currently are and where we want to be. And I love to use the idea of a rubber band when we're talking about that. And I forgot to get it down. Hold on. Okay. So rubber band. So current reality is here. And then where I currently am. So if I talk about currently, I'm in week 1 of my training plan, and in 11 more weeks, I'm going to be on stage. Okay, so that's my current reality. Is this? I'm in week 1, and in 11 more weeks, I'm going to be on stage. See, there's tension on the band, right? So creating structural tension is that in the middle of the band, I've got steps that I have to take in order to go from where I currently am to where I want to be in the next 12 weeks. So this is a really good visual. Oftentimes I'll share this. I share this with you for your personal health goals as well as for your business. And you can take that rubber band and go ahead and wear it on your wrist. And when you have a negative thought that comes in your mind, you can take that band and snap it, so that it tells your brain that that's not going to get you further towards your goals. And it's just one of those brain-body connections that you don't want to allow yourself to go down a negative pathway, right? We want to make sure that I'm here, I want to be here, and always keeping that in the forefront of your mind. If you lose sight of where you want to go, you're going to snap back to where you were every time. But if you stay focused and you let go of some concepts, maybe you let go of some negative talk, it's going to give you momentum that way. Okay? So this is often something I'll share with you. You can see how being on a Zoom call might really help with your clients, right? You can show them stuff like this. You can really say that as well.
Nicole,
something to share about that.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Time out.
Nicole, you have
burping again. Like
lots of feedback.
Great.
I can see you fine.
I think Michaela took herself off mute.
Can you all mute yourself?
Me?
All of you.
Okay.
Michaela? There. Now nod your head if I'm still reverbing. No. Okay, so for some reason when I talk and you are all on, it's too much. So, or somebody is causing the reverb. So, did you hear anything I said? Okay. Did you hear me when I talked about this? Okay. All right, so if you want to share something about this, go ahead and unmute yourself. Nobody has any comments about the rubber band?
I love the rubber band concept. It's really cool. The other thing is, if you don't have a rubber band or you don't want to keep hurting yourself,
come on.
You could. Some people just use like a regular rubber band, but I suggest a hair rubber band.
This is a hair band.
I know, but I'm saying if anybody just goes and picks up a regular rubber band, just use a hair rubber band. Anyway, you could also just put your watch on the other wrist. That'll also change your paradigm. So, but yeah,
for sure. Good point.
It really does work.
I have to have something fancier than that. Mine has to have bling on it.
Okay, well, get yourself some bling, Joy.
Okay.
I actually have a question about the structural tension.
Okay.
I guess, so whenever I am mentoring or talking to a client, like I have a new client that she's on day 3, and I really haven't talked to her about structural tension and the rest of it. I'm not sure how to introduce. Talk to me about what I need to do with that, please,
Absolutely.
Nicole. And I know.
So on day 3, we're not even talking to them about the habits of health yet.
Okay.
So day 1, we send the day 1 email. We want to get them in the fat burn. On day 4, the email says to unwrap your Habits of Health materials. And then that's when you're going to send them the Habits of Health email that I sent you guys, that you could say, hey, I hope you're doing well. Make sure you have a time set up in our calendars for us to chat each week. I've attached the Habits of Health study guide, and because we want them going through that, okay? So if you have a client that is not, like, for all intents and purposes, we're all going through it this way, then we're going to go through it the 8 weeks way too. This past week, instead of sending the weekly Habit of Health, I sent the ebook. You all should have gotten that email with the copy of that. So that's what I've been talking to my clients about is, ooh, joy.
Yeah, baby.
Woo! So that's what we've been discussing this week is about well-being. And even I don't like to call and say, so did you read this week? So did you? Because if it's no, then they don't want to talk to me. But so I just call and say, hey, we're discussing well-being this week. Did you know that most people find that 65% of people have a great concept of their well-being if they're satisfied in their career? How satisfied are you in your career? And that's what the call's on, because it's just a part of the Habits of Health. It's about finding satisfaction and contentment. And so to your question, Terry, so we're on week 2, and we're just now being introduced to the concept of structural tension. So in client time, that's usually about week 3.
Okay, that's why I was kind of confused when you said we're week 2, and then I was like, but I'm not talking to them about that yet. So just trying to stay on the same page.
Yep. So I always start them on week 1 in their second week on plan, because I take the first week to help them get acclimated to their new eating plan, because it's most important that they get into fat burn and they understand what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay, so let me ask you a quick question, and this may have been covered last week, and I apologize if I'm asking something that happened last week, but like whenever I'm day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, I'm just basically asking the simple questions, and this seems to be right, but I just to make sure, just how are you doing? How's it going? Do you have any symptoms, headaches? Do you have any cravings? Or just, kind of basically the main thing is, how's it going today, with starting the program?
Absolutely.
And just getting feedback.
Yep. And I would recommend maybe focusing on the positive, like, are you drinking, are you getting enough water? Are you finding it, easy to eat every 2 to 3 hours?
Right.
They have headaches, cravings, nausea, tired. They will tell you.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. That's kind of where I do go, but I just want to make sure that's what you're saying to your new clients. Okay.
Right. Absolutely. And then on their week 1 celebration call, we'll say, hey, have you had a great week? How much weight are we celebrating that you've lost? Excellent. Have you, in day 4's email, I mentioned for you to unwrap your Habits of Health. Have you had a chance to do that? Great. Let's get started on week 1 in the study guide. Okay.
Thank you. That was perfect.
Good.
And Nicole, the only other thing was last week that you talked about was non-scale victory.
Yes.
You didn't ask any one of us on
today, a non-scale. That's a good point. We're trying to focus a lot more on the trilogy of optimal health, healthy mind, body, and finances, and finding other ways that we can celebrate outside of the scale. And so having a non-scale victory, part of that is have you had a great week? What's a really great thing in your week? So Joy, you had a non-scale victory by watching another client. It still promotes your health, because it's the health of your business and the health of your mind, because you're excited about your friend and your client. And the same thing for Terry, when your daughter gets married, that's a joyous occasion, which is part of our mental health as well. So whether you call it a non-scale victory, some of our clients initially are going to be like, oh, what kind of victory, But what's the greatest thing about your week? And what we're trying to do is create that positive energy around creating health, not just about losing weight. Okay. The only other thing that we talk about on this, for this section, is stressing the importance of creating structural tension. So everybody has seen the structural tension. I'm happy to send the file again for structural tension. it's good to have one for personal and one for your business. So the other part of our call today, we're going to talk about, and it kind of relates to structural tension with the incentive trip that's coming up. So I want to give everybody some clarity around how we all can go to Mexico together, because that would be really great. Yay! So the company, the good news is it helps us all to be really clear about where we're at with our business and what we want to do with our business. And for those of you that haven't had a business like you've wanted, this it actually benefits you. For example, I'm going to go through the way the points work in a way that I think you'll understand, so that when we're considering what you need to do in order to go to Mexico, you can't go unless you're clear about what you need to do to go. Agreed? I mean, you can't go, it's like your GPS. If you don't set your GPS, you're never going to end up where you're trying to go unless you know all the roads. And in these days, none of us really know how to go to a new place without the GPS. So we're all going to go to a new place, and we're all going to go there together. And is there anybody that doesn't want to go to Mexico? You have a question? Go ahead. Reish. Patricia.
Oh, okay, that's me. Okay. Sorry, I just needed something to make me laugh. Anyway, can you, and I don't know, I can't foresee the future, but can you tell us how many points we actually need? Because that's really good.
So the company will actually send you an email probably within the next week, I would assume. Maybe by August 15th, but I can't imagine it wouldn't be this coming week. You'll get an email that says, congratulations, you have an opportunity to go on this trip. The points you need in order to go are, and it'll give you the points. If you want to know before that, which we can easily come up with, you will, you'll pretty much know today how many points that is. So, well, if you know your business, you'll know. Okay. So for example, Patricia, I'll use you for example. Patricia had $1,200 in sales in July and June and May. Were you senior coach in May? I think so. I'm pretty sure you were. So May, June, and July, if you are just a new coach and you don't have a May, then you don't count May. But of May, June, and July, it's how many points you have an average. So for $1,200 in sales, you have 1 point. Okay? So if Patricia has 1 point in May, 1 point in June, and 1 point in July, that's 3 points. Divided by 3 is 1 point. Okay? So for the next 6 months, Patricia has to get that 1 point every month plus 25 points in addition. So what you could do is take the 1 point, times it by 6, plus 25 is 31 total points. So in 6 months, if Patricia wants to get all 31 points in the first 2 months, she can, and she'll go to Mexico. She'll know early that she's going. The qualification doesn't change. So for every $1,200 in volume you have is 1 point. And actually, you can all know how many points you have. If you go into your back office in the upper right-hand corner, it says qualifying points. And you can look back and see monthly performance, how many points you've had. So here's another one. If you had 10 points, 10 points, and 10 points in each 3 months, that's easy. But let's say you had a really bad May and you had 1 point, and then in June you had 5 points, that's 6, and then you had 2 points in July, that's 12. We'll divide that by 3, the average is 4. Okay, so it's an average of May, June, and July. And then you take that and times that number by 6. Now, and add 25. So you have to grow your business by 25 points in 6 months of your average business of the last 3. Does anybody
Say that again.
about that?
So you take your 3 months, add them up.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you divide by 3 and add 25. So from August, September, October, November, December, and January. Okay, you have to earn 25. You have to earn all of those points in those 6 months. Now, it's good for you to know business-wise. August and September are bigger months. October, November, December are slower, and January is big. So it's probably not a good idea to try, like, for example, if you needed a total of 30 points, if you say, well, I'm going to get 5 points every month, and that's stretching it for you, you're going to be hard pressed because October, November, December are slow. So you're going to want to try and beef up your points in August and September and January because October, November, December are slow. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So a couple other ways you can get points. It's when you get $1,200, that's senior coach. Another $2,400 is 2 points, right? So every time you rank up, you get more points. You get a point for every $1,200 block. If you grow your team, so Joy has Michaela on her team. If Michaela becomes a senior coach, Joy gets an extra point for Michaela. Okay? If Joy becomes an ED, I get an extra point for Joy becoming an ED. Okay?
That's happen.
That's going to happen. That's
That's
right.
gonna happen.
So so it's for team building and it's for frontline volume. So Sandra just started her business. She has 0 points. Okay? So in the next 6 months, she has to earn a total of 25 points total. Okay? Does that make sense? So if, let's say in August, she reaches manager, which is 2,400, she'll have 2 points. Then in September, she's going to want to beef it up because then she's going to have 3 slow months. I mean, don't hear me saying business isn't good, because I've maintained ED for 3.5 years. So it's not that it doesn't happen. If you're intentionally sharing and spreading the word, it'll happen. But one of the things that I love hearing about is Sandy was just telling me that somebody that she talked to 2 years ago just called her and said that she was ready. She's like, I said, see, you share and you never know when. And it's important to share and spread the word and help other people in your life know what you're doing. My encouragement today for you is that 5 years ago, I moved to Atlanta. I became a health coach 3.5 years ago, and I'm being really intentional about the people in my world knowing about what I do with Take Shape for Life. And I got an email yesterday from one of my closest friends that's a real estate agent, and he was at a closing yesterday. Meanwhile, he lives in Woodstock. Okay, so he did a closing yesterday, and he emailed me and said, I have a new client for you. The real estate agent that I did the closing with somehow started talking about her diet that she was on, and I inquired about what it was, and she told me it was an HCG diet and she wasn't happy and she didn't like it. And I told her about my great friend Nicole, and she's a really great plan, and people have lots of success on her plan. And she said, oh my gosh, I would love her information. I'm going to call her. So we said, well, here's Nicole DeWard and here's her number. And she goes, oh my gosh, I sold her house 5 years ago. I know. Isn't that crazy?
Scary.
In Atlanta.
I love it.
That's so
Love
crazy.
I love it.
So of course she emails me like, such a freaking small world. And she's in my email accounts. She's a person that when we're looking at our contacts and who we know, I get a monthly newsletter from her. It's not that I don't know. I just never made it to talk to her yet. But it's even cooler that my friend told her about it when she was ready. So don't ever discount that people find out about Take Shape for Life when they're ready, and they find out and they'll do it when they're ready. So be encouraged by that and keep moving forward. Set your goals, set your intentionality about what you want to create. This process of going after the trip will really help you be intentional. Set up your structural tension chart so you know how many people you need to reach out to. None of us like to make calls. Just put it out there. Nobody likes to, hey, do you have a few minutes? I just want to tell you about what I do. It's just part of it, right? Nobody likes to take their vitamins, but you do because it's good for you. You know, you don't like to get all sweaty and then have to take a shower, but you do because it's good for your body. So just do it. It's good for your business. It's good. You don't want to have people in your life miss what you have to offer because you didn't get out of your own way. Okay? So any questions? I will happily field any more incentive trip questions, but I absolutely think there's no reason any of us should not go. Okay?
When is it?
That's a good question.
March.
March.
It's March something. It's March.
Yeah, I think it's mid-March.
Mid-March, I think.
7 to 11.
7 to 11. Thank you, Patricia. So next week, in your study guide, look at week 3. Okay, so we're not going by chapters. We're going by the week in the study.
Oh.
Huh?
No.
Okay, so go look in the study guide, week 3, and please, if you will, send me your structural tension chart so I know how to support you. And then if you do not have a call in my calendar, that, for example, well, some of you I talk to almost every day. So you have lots of calls in my calendar. But if you have a call in my calendar that you haven't called on in a long time, won't mention any names, please call or change it. So whatever you want it to be, I will create it for you. I will tell you, at Go Global, one of the ladies told me that she had people in her team that really wanted to be an executive director. They needed to be an executive director. It wasn't just a want, it was all out. Financially, I need that, and these are how many people I need to help, okay? They called her every day for 30 days, and they all went executive director because it was intentionality. So I offer that to any of you. If you want to talk to me every day, I'm happy to put it in. You just have to I'm not going to force that on you if that's not what you want to do.
I don't even know what to ask you in that every single day.
It's really just a touch base. And I would say to you, what are your plans for your business today?
Mm-hmm.
And it's more about setting the intention about what you're going to do.
Okay.
So one of the reasons I work out every morning first is because that's how I set my intention for the rest of the day. So what are you doing? Ooh, that must be Joy's dog. So set your intention, create what it is that you want, and let's figure it out and make it fit in your life, okay? Anybody else have any other questions before we close it up? And I will do my best to post this video. I didn't do so well last week, so I'll try again.
You said you were going to send out the weekly schedule on that. I'm pretty sure I have it buried in my emails. But
I'll send the study guide and the email that we send to our clients. I'll send that one more time, okay?
Okay, I appreciate it. Sorry.
Sure thing. That's okay. All right. Well, you guys have a happy Friday and great weekend. Joy, did you have another question?
Yeah. So I don't have to call you in a few minutes. The healthy fuelings thing that you sent me at one time, I want to pass that on to my client who's going into transition and maintenance.
Yep.
I couldn't find that in my office.
That's because I created it myself.
Okay. Can I have that again, please?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't want to give you guys too much stuff that you don't need, but I do have a whole Take Shape for Life folder that I have zipped. I'm happy to email my folder of all the documents that I've accumulated from the back office. Would that be helpful for me to zip it and send? Then you guys can look and pull out whatever it is that you need. You all know how to go in the back office and click on resources and type in. There are some things that I've obviously created that aren't in the back office, but so feel free. I'll send that to all of you right now. You'll have to unzip it and then pull out what you want. If that's overwhelming, just don't open it. Okay?
All right.
Nicole, have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye.